when I saw the effect that Eckelin helped have on, and even I didn't recognize it when we were doing the TV show with him and with Putz and with the Zavada brothers. I didn't realize just what a special relationship he has with the public and the fans. And when I saw that, and I was sat next to Frank Mir for that first fight, he was commentating on the first Festhalle card, and even Frank was like, no, he said, I've only seen one other person have that reaction in an arena, and that was Conor McGregor. Germany's like a really good girlfriend. You know, she answers your texts, she gets you nice presents on your birthday. Whereas the UK is that girl that, you know, well, we might go on a second date. We'll see, we'll do this stuff. Whereas, Germany, I think we're ready to put a ring on it now.
Mein nächster Gast, ich habe es gerade schon gesagt, das ist in meinen Augen das Gehirn von Octagon. Keiner weiß mehr über MMA in dieser Organisation. Ja, ich weiß gar nicht, in welchen Rollen er alles zu sehen ist, von Experte, Kommentator, Moderator. Er übernimmt alles. Wir switchen jetzt mal ins Englische. So, like I said, the brain of Octagon is finally here. The man who is living every German's dream, living in Mallorca. From Palma de Mallorca, I don't know, but from the island of Mallorca. It's a pleasure. Brian Lacey, welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've watched for a long time. You're my secret weapon because you and a couple of the other guys do the interviews with the German fighters, so I can dip into the archives and sound like I know them firsthand because of the work you do. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's I told that in German before you entered the call that you gave me that compliment. Watching some of my interviews, that's really nice. It's a little bit flattering in the first place, but I know there are some guys in Octagon who don't have any media presence at all until that point they enter the organization, and that totally changes afterwards.
Yeah.
But like I introduced you. Can you explain why does an Englishman choose to live on Mallorca? I know many British people go over there to do vacation, but I mean, to stay there or to leave UK, maybe it's a big step. But can you explain it for me?
Yeah, so it was. It's always been like a thing where my wife's wanted to live by the sea, by the ocean. But I never thought she'd want to do it. So it was maybe 4 years ago. I think she had her midlife crisis. She walked into the front room in April, and by August we had moved our entire life to Mallorca. And I thought it was only going to last for maybe a few months, and then she'd panic. She'd want to go back home. But the sun suits her, the sea suits her, and happy wife, happy life. So that was the main reason she wanted to do it. She was up for it, and I can live anywhere. I've got no massive attachment to any area in the UK, and I think the UK is struggling right now. So it's nice to wake up in the UK. It's cold December. We've had 23 degrees out there today. So why not?
Yeah, it sounds really nice. But in the end, so this sounds too like you're not missing the rain or the clouds. No.
Not at all. But I tell you what, the amount of Germans that are on this island is insane. I mean, it's beautiful for me because now I can get to any city direct when I'm talking to some guys and they're saying, well, how did you get to Hanover or how did you get wherever? And I'm like, every German comes this way. So I just follow them home and it works out well.
Yeah, and that leads me to the point where when you are watching my interviews, probably you're looking for the origin story of the fighter. So I want to know your origin story with Octagon. Can you tell us when did it start? Did you start from the first show in, I don't know.
No. It's another lockdown story, I suppose. Because I was commentating for a few other promotions. I've worked for BAMMA, I've done some bits for Bellator, some ACA, ACB stuff. And obviously the whole world was locked down. And I'd watched Octagon back at Octagon 15 because I knew Carlos Vermola, I knew Attila Vey, and I watched the whole fight of the century. So that was my first ever Octagon. And I watched it and I remember Carlos's walkout. In fact, the whole event was crazy. Kike Brito was on that card. There was some amazing fights and fighters, and then I watched the crowd. So it was in my head, and I always just thought maybe that's a one-off. And then I saw on social media they started to do more and more events. And then even in lockdown, they were doing like they had their own Fight Island, and there was one on New Year's Eve, which or it would be December 30th, 2022, I think, or 2021. Um, and I saw the one where they had the whole circus thing. Pavel and Andre were dressed as the ringmaster and the MC. And I was like, why does this work? I'm a hardcore MMA fan. And usually when stuff's different, we don't like it. We're like, no, just give us what we want. Just give us the fights and the. But something caught my eye, and I saw how good the fights were. I saw how passionate those two were, and in particular those two. It wasn't just the fighters. I saw the dynamic between them. And I was sat at home, and I was like, I'm just gonna find out how to get in touch with Pavel or Andre. So I reached out, and that was 5 years ago in April, March. And they said, yeah, come and do an event. So my first event was no audience, no crowd. They had us sat miles away from the cage on a little balcony in this hotel, calling the fights. It was Carlos Vermola versus Datalinka for the middleweight title. But even though there was no crowd, I got a sense for the relationship between the fighters and the promotion. I got a sense, even just being online, about how the fans interacted differently with the fighters. And I remember sitting there, and I was still working for other promotions at the time, and I just looked at it, and Andre said to me, what would you do different? And I was sat there, and usually I've got lots of ideas, and I'll usually throw stuff. But I looked at him, and I was like, I don't think I'd change a thing, because I've only been to these small events, and I already feel that this is something special. So, yeah, it was, something caught my eye. I took the risk of just reaching out to Pavel in the end, and yeah, we're now 5 years deep into this mad story.
But was this a new area of MMA to you, or were you into characters like Carlos Vermola who fought in different organizations before, or was it something you have to bring yourself in or study a little bit?
I studied. Yeah, but listen, so all the other promotions I'd worked in, like Russia and places like that, every place I'd go, you have to study this. It's what I love most about this job is finding the stories, finding like what's individual about the fighters, what struggles they've been through. And it's the bit that I've done a lot of jobs in my life, and I still find myself working harder on this than I ever did for stuff that people would say is real work. So yeah, I mean, when I came across, I knew a couple of the guys, and I knew a few of the fighters. They were still having some English guys and Irish guys come across. But for me, it was digging deep into. My dogs want to get involved in this podcast. Digging deep into each of the stories, but it's the same wherever I've gone. And I think it's one of the things that that people, when they see like the depth of my notes and what I do, I think it's the bit that excites me most, uncovering these little hidden gems that people have no idea who they are or what they've been through to get to the point they're at.
Yeah, and like before I introduced you, I told the people about the commentary meeting I took part in, and there you're dropping these gems you're digging for. But could you ever imagine to travel 9 times a year to Germany, to different the cities, all the biggest cities over there, when you started at Octagon?
Travel's always been a part of my life, but I didn't know Germany would be this much of my life. I'd bounced in and out of it a couple of times. We had a school trip there. I'd been there for one business meeting in my previous existence before I got into MMA. But now, and even looking at next year's roster, and the amount of shows that they're planning on delivering next year, and how many will be in the cities we know, but even new cities. I've never been to Berlin. I can't wait to go to Berlin. The fact we're going back to Eintracht again, everybody will have that marked as something. So and I love it. I've totally fallen in love with Germany. Like the different cities, everything's got a different vibe, different culture. The people we meet there as well that sort of take us around and guide us, whether you're in Hamburg, Frankfurt, or Hanover, or even Oberhausen, which was an eye opener for a city. But I didn't know Germany would be this much of my life, but I got to say I'm loving it.
Yeah, and I think Germany is the best example to explain how Octagon grew in the recent years. And you grew with Octagon at the same time. How would you judge the yeah, the growing of the company at times, I would say there you have some growing pain because you're growing really fast and you have to keep up with your structure and yeah, the people who work there. Can you tell me your experience with this rise of Octagon to probably the best European MMA show right now?
Yeah, I think all of us, none of us are surprised by the amount of work it's taken to get here, but I think we are a little bit surprised at how quickly it's moved. And I think even from your side, you must have, I don't know, how long you've covered, whether it's just German or European MMA, but to see where Germany is compared to 3, 4 years ago is absolutely crazy in terms of the crowds, the arenas. The thing that isn't a surprise for me, and especially when you look at the different cities, is the fighters. I mean, the quality of talent you've got coming through is absolutely insane. Why it's not a hub of European MMA before we even got there is crazy. But with regards to like where we've got and how hard it's been, you're absolutely right. There's been growing pains. There's been lots of lessons we've kind of hit and bumps, but it's been so much fun. I mean, every place we go, or every corner we turn, or every new chapter we open, whether it was the first step into Frankfurt and feeling what that arena was like, and even feeling the crowd because they're very different. And I feel like even when we jump back to that last Munich event, if I look at the crowd in Frankfurt, our first event, Octagon 33, and then the atmosphere for the Munich event, it feels like the crowd has grown, the knowledge, and also the way people enjoy the fights. The fact they're there for the first fight. I remember Zanuni coming out against was it Cologne? It was Cologne. Zanuni against Masha, first fight of the night, and it was almost full. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, do you know what? Germany's come on this journey with us. Before, when we were in Frankfurt, first few fights were empty. It's very UFC style. They were all waiting for the main card, the main, stars, the Ekelins. But now, now we've got exciting arenas and we've got fans that kind of understand what we are and they want to be there from the start. So from every side you look at it, I think it's been a crazy ride. But I think the fact that we're turning the corner into 2026 with the amount of events, the amount of German events, the arenas we're looking to do, the new cities. I think we will keep pushing, and I can only see 2026 bringing more pace and more exciting news for German fans.
Yeah, of course. I know a little bit, but can't tell it here. YouTube probably won't spoil the surprises.
Let's put it all out there, my friend. Come on, let's make this the podcast.
I have the Excel sheet over here. Let's see. Let's take a look on it.
Yeah, there we go.
No, for real. But so like you asked a little bit what was my experience. So I started with covering UFC, of course, which is probably the entry for many fans to the sport. And then I was the first time in October 2023 in Cologne Octagon event, and I was invited by Scott Lecton, who's PR PR UK, and I entered the arena and I did some UFC shows before, and I entered it and I said, this looks like the UFC. Everything is not almost the same. Even the lights were better from the first event I was, but it's like, okay, this looks like the product everybody is watching. This can be a really big success. And I wasn't into German MMA, I won't say at all, but I wasn't into it so hard. After that, I started to, connect some dots, and we ended up here with this YouTube channel and doing, interviews with, characters from the MMA scene on a regular basis. And that's so my experience with the show.
Had you been to many domestic shows? So either the GMCs, the We Love MMAs, the AMCs. Had you? No,
the first time.
I want, because I my first taste of a German crowd, and I do feel like crowds have their sort of traits and personalities in themselves, was the Frankfurt one. So I was wondering if you'd felt a crowd outside of Octagon compared to what we do in our shows. Or
no,
not.
I've seen that. I think it still was on Bild Plus at that time. I saw that on Bild Plus. The first event in Germany I've seen was PFL Europe in Germany, and that was in Berlin, and it was absolutely horrible. So it was organized bad. With Dan Hardy, they had a really good expert, and had some talks with him. That was really nice. But in the end, it was the small Uber arena, so the Uber Eats arena, besides the big Uber arena, and that wasn't even full. They had good fighters. They had a good matchmaking, but the organization, the marketing was totally shit. So this had no atmosphere. So I had to wait until that event in Cologne to see, okay, that's really possible in Germany to bring big audience to a good organized MMA show in the end. That's a point that I can't find a good bridge on that. But were you personally disappointed when the UK expansion failed?
Yeah, I mean, totally, because I kind of was part of the charge that took him over there. And it was funny, we were talking about it last week, and we were looking at because we're looking at the 10-year anniversary next year. So we were looking at what to include, and one of the things is we don't shy away from the lessons we learned. And I was kind of gutted because I feel like we had everything except one special thing, which I've seen definitely helped with Germany. So we had a decent TV channel. We were on Channel 4. We had, the TV series, which was by anybody's who's watched the previous ones, and even the ones that watched this one and were involved in making this one. They said it was the best one, the best dynamics, the best fights, the best, drama in the house, all this stuff. Then we had, we put a lot into the marketing. We had some good, whether it was influencers or exposure, but we just couldn't get the bite of the English fans. And I think there's a couple of reasons. The economics in England is definitely not what it was. What we felt people might be willing to spend to come and watch our shows. And again, if you look at even some of the other ones below the UFC that are in the main spotlight in the UK, when you go to their shows, they are in, I don't know what you'd call them, but basically just not arenas, but sports halls or larger than that, just for basic production. And I think there's a lot of combat sports in England. You've got bare knuckle now, which is really big over here. We've got an MMA show in every city, pretty much every weekend. UFC comes here twice a year. PFL does their shows 2 or 3 times a year. And I think we had everything as far as what could have worked, but we missed the star. And when I saw the effect that Ekelin helped have on, and even I didn't recognize it when we were doing the TV show with him and with Putz and with the Zavada brothers, I didn't realize just what a special relationship he has with the public and the fans. And when I saw that, and I was sat next to Frank Mir for that first fight, he was commentating on the first Festhalle card, and even Frank was like, no, he said, I've only seen one other person have that reaction in an arena, and that was Conor McGregor. And he was like, that's so unique and special in this sport the whole crowd just changed, the whole energy. And I feel like if we'd had we had great fighters, great, talent, great prospects, but we didn't have that established star. And I think that could have made a difference. But whether it did or it didn't, what we did learn very quickly is that the hotbed and the easier, path to take rather than pushing a boulder up a hill, but, roll down with it was Germany. And we took a lot of lessons from the UK, a lot of lessons on how to market, a lot of lessons on how to work with partners, a lot of lessons on even how to work with fighters to help promote us in certain cities. So it hurts. I still think about it at night, like I'm looking at some of the other shows in the UK and I'm like, we're so much better. We can give the fans so much more. And even the fighters in the UK, unless you get to the UFC, you don't get the sort of experience of walking into a 15,000 seat arena with the crowd on their feet and that energy and atmosphere. You don't get to travel around to different cities and be that star. So I feel like it's sad for the UK fans, sad for the fighters, sad for me personally, because I would have loved to do more shows there and really establish it. But the flip side of that is we fully, embraced Germany and Germany embraced us. And I think that's the difference. That was like, Germany's like a really good girlfriend. She answers your texts, she gets you nice presents on your birthday. Whereas the UK is that girl that, well, we might go on a second date. We'll see, we'll do this stuff. Whereas, Germany, I think we're ready to put a ring on it now.
Yeah, that sounds not really German in the end, but your comparison. But I like the picture in the first place. But what makes you sure Poland will be, yeah, a good step for the company? Because I mean, it's probably not the same like in UK. People are different over there. They have, yeah, different attitude towards the sport. But there is competition in Poland already. KSW is pretty popular. You're going there the first time. KSW went to, I think, Slovakia before. So, what do you make of that move?
Yeah, I mean, for us, and when I found out, this is people don't believe me on this, but Andre and Pavel kept this so close. Andre, Pavel, Petr Filipec, and Hinek, who's the head of marketing, they were all involved in signing that deal and you know picking that as the next spot that we would go. No one else in the team knew, apart from the PR team, got a little drop just before we were announcing it so that they could prep the press and the media or get ready to prep. But I walked in to do the weigh-ins on the Friday morning. I've forgotten where we were. I think we were maybe Hamburg. I can't even remember. But it was the morning of, and I was getting there, and one of the guys walked up to me and said, "Have you got the announcement?" And I was like, "Nope." And then the next thing, a guy walked up and put a card in my hand saying, "In between these fights, you're going to announce we're going to Poland." So that was my first, you know, understanding of that. And when I spoke to Andre and Pavel afterwards about why, um, I think that you know Poland is fighting is their national sport, and I think one of the lessons when we talk about we've learned from the UK is we went straight to a 20,000 seat stadium. That was the wrong move in my eyes. Like it was too big, too much, and we hadn't established ourselves or really earned that spot yet. So we're going now to a city which is a smaller arena with a star from that city and Mikael Matela as well. And the intent is just to be us. I mean, there's every interview I've had or every you know person who's spoken to me about Poland is always like, but so you're going head to head with KSW. We're not. We're going there to be Octagon, and I think that's the mistake that could be easily be made. We're not going there to start a fight. We feel like we could fit that market. We've got some great Polish fighters. We feel like we're different, and we're only doing one show. It's not like we're signing up for 14 shows next year in Poland. We're going. We're going to bring Octagon the best we can. We're going to put the best fights on we can. We've already got Materla, who is huge in that city. He is, you know, and he's been huge for the Polish market as well. If you look at the fighters that came through and really helped Poland become the stronghold in Europe for a very long time in MMA. You look at Khalidov, you look at him, and you know you've got to respect what they've done, and they've still got a strong fan base and a strong presence. So I'm excited to see, and I think this is the great thing. We will find out if Poland will love us. We're doing it on a smaller scale than we did in the UK, so again, it's still a big risk, but you know I think we're taking tentative steps to introduce ourselves rather than just exploding into the market. And we'll just do what we do. I think everybody who comes to our shows, like you just said, when you walk in, it feels different. The production's high, the energy's great. It's more than just fights that we put on. We put on like a festival of violence. It's you know good fun from start to finish, and we'll do what we always do. We'll find unique fighters, we'll match good fights, and we'll tell stories. And hopefully that will be enough to see us do more than one show in Poland. Because I've commentated maybe 20 or 30 times in Poland, and I've said it many times. It's one of my favorite places to call fights because it truly is their national sport. Poland loves fighting, and they're built for it. And yeah, if we can make a mark there, if we can fill the arenas like we do in Germany, like we do in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, then I think it's great. And there's space. There's plenty of space in this market right now for you know strong European promotions. I just feel like we are the strongest as it stands.
Yeah, that sounds interesting because of the fact you told that they signed Matala to sell out Stettin. I don't know the English pronunciation of the city, but this is like the recipe of Octagon for a lot of shows. Christian Jungwirth is really big in the south, in Munich, like we've seen, in Stuttgart, of course. Okay, Christian Eckerlin is above them all a little bit, big in whole Germany, but in Hannover, Max Holzer would sell out easily. And when this is a certain dependency for a company, depending on big names from that area, which sell out the arenas. When does this end, or what does it take to end this dependency? Because when you see the UFCs coming somewhere, the people go there because it's the brand. It's like, oh, the UFC's coming to us. It's probably sports wise the best the product can offer. What would Octagon not need to change, but what is needed to be the brand Octagon coming to a new country, new city, and all the people are saying, all right, this is a big show, I have to go there.
Yeah, I think the big thing, and again, I look at the trait we've had with Germany now because I'm part of the meetings where we announce arenas even sometimes without out fights, and we can follow the ticket sales. Then we can announce a fighter on top of it, and you can see the trend of who sells well, who's a draw. But I think what's happened in Germany and what is the aim in other countries is to build trust with the fans that we will deliver great fights, we will deliver a great night. And to start with, it's perfect for us if we can find a star from that place. It works for everybody. I mean, the fans will be excited to see them. It'll help us sell tickets. It adds something to the show, and then we can grow it from there. But returning to those cities and coming back and continuing to deliver high-level fights, nights that people want to be part of. Because another great thing is a lot of my friends aren't massive MMA fans, and they've been to some of the other shows that I do, and they kind of sit there and then they're ready to go by the main card, because 6 or 7 hours of a sport you don't really enjoy is kind of crazy. But I've brought them to Prague, I've taken them to even Birmingham, even to Slovakia, and they've come and watched, and they love it because it's not just the fights, the energy, the atmosphere that's there as well keeps people engaged. And I think if we keep creating these nights where people want to be there, they want that ticket, and they trust that we can deliver it, whether it's a new city, a new country, or a place we've been back to 12 times. The idea will be that the brand itself, people will be so excited to be, they'll trust it so much, and they'll be so excited because they've been there and they want that ticket again. They want that experience. They want to be there for those moments. That's what will keep those tickets going and those seats full.
Yeah, that's right. In the end, what I'm interested in is, do you have to stay neutral a little bit, right? That's more or basically part of your job. But are there any favorite fighters in Octagon you have because of their persona or personality? Because at times I think, okay, we have some fighters who are doing really well, they are winning, but they don't have probably not the charisma to win the audience over in the end. And then there are people like Dennis Frimpong, and they're doing 2 or 3 interviews, and some people love him, some people hate him, but that's what you want. People caring about you, and you're somehow moving the needle for the company. First of all, are there any favorite fighters from both point of views, like sports-wise and persona-wise? And what do you think the company needs more right now? Does it need more of the talkers, or can I say the walkers? That sounds a bit stupid.
It works.
Yeah, somehow.
I've definitely got people that I know better than others, and I always try and stay neutral. And I'll tell you who my favorite fighter is, and it's easy for me because I've known him for so long. I've been with him through so much stuff. It's Aaron Abbey, who's the flyweight. He fought for the flyweight title in Manchester. Cystic fibrosis sufferer. He's got that condition. He'll have it for his whole life. He was only told he'd live till 14, 15. Managed to become a professional sportsman, was an amateur footballer for Wales, moved into MMA, then overcame stage 4 testicular cancer, beat that, and then came back. And on top of that, just one of the nicest human beings. So he, for me, is the Rocky story, and he's somebody that when you watch how he fights, it's how he lives. There's no quitting him. Like, he will give everything. There's just this insane belief that he can get through anything, and that's what's got him through life as well. So when I think of fighters, like, he is head and shoulders, and he's not the champion. He's not somebody who's probably he's not somebody like an Ekelin who's famous in every city in Germany, but that story, that person, how he carries himself is somebody that I can't help but have the respect, but also like a very soft spot in my heart for a guy like that. But I've called fights where he's had the shit kicked out of him. Zhumagulov beat the brakes off him in Bratislava, and again he showed his durability, his heart. But I called that, and if you watch it back, I called it like I call every other fight. So as a professional, you gotta have this space where I respect both of them, and I like whoever's in that cage. I want to do the best job to tell their story, to sell that fight as best as possible. And as far as what Octagon need, I think we just need those, authentic. I think we need people to be themselves. And there's so much of a push, and it was particularly off the back of McGregor and Chael Sonnen, where everybody was like, "Oh, we've got to shit talk. We've got to be the guy that has the soundbite. We've got to say this, or we've got to get in people's faces." But what I've seen is when you are your true self, and whoever that or however that might come across, that's what fans want. They want to they want to feel relatable to you, or they want to look up to you, or they want to enjoy watching you. And I think the ones that surprised us, that surprised me most, Max Holzer. Max Holzer joined Octagon. He was 6-0 at that point. He was mid card on some of these other promotions, the domestic ones. Came to us, fought in Newcastle, beat Corey Fry, and again mid card. Jumped then, won his next fight, and again, the walkouts, the personality, nothing crazy to start with, but somehow he just captured the hearts of the fans, and it's just himself. He's not trying to be anything that he's not. He's not trying to be. Yeah, I mean, he's crazy as it is as far as the walkouts, and he's got like a unique personality, but he just lets you see it, and he's unashamed, unashamedly him. And I think there's other fighters that surprise me. And again, just being themselves. Gokhan Aksu. Like, I would never have picked him to be somebody that and I mean this with total respect, just because I'd spoken to him briefly before his debut, and he's very low key, very humble, beautiful personality. But then you look at the way his fans are with him, and you look at that fan base that he has grown, like busloads of people traveling from Turkey, Austria, every part of Europe, they're coming to see him. And then you look at his relationship with them. Then you look how he fights. And for me, then I'm like, this is somebody I would never have, if you put a line of fighters out, I probably wouldn't have picked him. But now I've seen how the fans interact with him, how he is with them, and that performance he put on against Dennis Frimpong. You kind of go, that's phenomenal. Like, not many people in sport can sell the amount of tickets that he sells. And it's not what we lean on. It wasn't the reason he said we signed him to us, but to see the corridors of Munich full of people chanting Aksu with the scarves and everything like that. I was so happy and so surprised. But that's what we need. We just need people to be themselves. People, who will, whether it is being the crazy stuff like Frimpong, because that's him being himself as well. He is that guy. If you go to the gym, Manchester top team, he's as much of a menace to his teammates as he is to anybody that he signs, and that can be good and bad some days. But yeah, that's all I think we need. We just need people to be authentic, people to be, themselves, and I think fans will attach to that basically.
Yeah, and that leads a little bit to the last show of the year, where a lot of good characters are present. Most of all in the main event with Will Fleury, who did a phenomenal journey at Octagon. What are you looking forward the most at this show? Is it like you already told a little bit about the arena, about the people in Prague, the atmosphere in that, or is there a certain fight you're looking forward to, which gets you excited?
The end of year show is always kind of special. It's, again, they always put a bit extra into it. There's a bit more show in it. There's it's kind of looking back at the year, and it's kind of like a little tilt at the cap to what we've achieved or how far we've come. So the show will be immense, and the O2 is kind of a mecca for us in the Czech Republic. It's a special place. That main card fight, that main event fight, Fleury versus Budaj, is so intriguing, because it's not just about the belt. You've got Will Fleury, a light heavyweight, basically, who's managed to go up in weight, beat Todev, and claim the heavyweight belt. But he's got such a chip on his shoulder in a good way, because he's fought very high levels. He's fought in big promotions, but he's never been given a push. He is a massive personality, but nobody's ever gone, oh, we're going to back him. We're going to show this guy. Yet Octagon have done that. Now he's, walking into 60,000 seat arenas. Now he's, head of the top of the card, double champ, defending one of his belts at the end of year show. And this is, the one slight on his career that everybody talks about, and he talked about it in the face-to-face, is how would he do in the UFC? This is technically how he sees his chance to show everybody. Because Badai, from my eyes, shouldn't be out of the UFC. 7-1 in that promotion, 3-fight win streak in that promotion, but just they didn't re-sign him. So for him, it's not just the belt as well. He's got to prove that the UFC was wrong. If he goes in there and gets beaten by Will Fleury, then congratulations, UFC. Once again, you've been mystic. You've read the future. This guy was done. So if he comes out and loses that, then that's massive. If Fleury, I think, from his side, this is his chance to prove 15, 16 years of sacrifice, of people doubting him. Like his mum and dad didn't want him to do this sport. There was many points where he's been offered like proper jobs, which would give him good money, security. He's turned them down to chase this dream. And I think this is his legacy fight. And for Badai, this is his chance to prove that everybody that backed him was right. The fans that got behind him, the media, and that the UFC were wrong. They've missed out on a true world-class fighter. So their loss is our gain, and without a doubt, that's the one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. I can agree. This is like both fighters have something to prove in that main event. And the final question would be a little bit off topic as well. Have you been to the Christmas party of Octagon a few days ago?
I didn't go. No, this is the madness of Octagon. They didn't let us know till about 2 weeks before that was happening. So my wife's back in England doing the Christmas stuff with her mum and her family. So I'm on daddy duty, on doggy duty. So I literally was sat at home. I was sat at home while everybody was having their festive fun. So.
But you've been to a prior Christmas party before?
I have been to.
So, and which award did you receive?
I won one this year. I won Presenter of the Year. So that was up to start with. It was up against all the commentators and, as you'd expect, Andre and the guys from the Czech Republic. And then it got narrowed down to me, Andre, and Adela, who does the presenting for that. And I got a message at about 11:15, a very drunk message from about 4 or 5 different people saying that I just won Presenter of the Year. So I haven't seen Andre since that, and I know he doesn't like losing. So I'm imagining that something will happen to me, or Prague could be my last Octagon event.
Oh no, we won't wish for that in the end. But probably your trophy is right in the post coming up.
I think they've told me they're not going to post it. I have to collect it. So
right.
yeah.
So in 3 weeks' time, you have the opportunity to collect it. And until then, I would say, Brian, thank you for your time today on a Sunday. Appreciate it very much. Looking forward to see you again at the Germany shows. This Prague event is between the holidays. It's a little bit difficult for the Germans to come over, but in the end we will see each other again personally at the events in Germany. Looking forward to that. Again, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Genuinely thank you for the effort you put in with interviewing the fighters. I can't tell you how much it helps, and also your interviews are great. Plus the fact now YouTube automatically AI translates, so I can watch you speaking as you do now, beautiful English, but with maybe fighters that haven't got English as a second language or anything. But I appreciate you. You've made me look clever on multiple occasions, my friend, and I owe you a beer or two.
That's my goal. That's my goal. And AI is just a tiny bit better and more fluent than I am in English. Therefore, again, Brian, thanks. Speaking to me was a blast. And up till next time, you're invited as a guest anytime soon. And see you soon, my friend.
Merry Christmas, my man. Enjoy your Christmas and have a happy new year. And I'll see you in 2026.
Yeah, likewise. See you in 2026.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.